All right, so the thing that I just wrote down in my journal is genuinely the wildest realization that I've ever had. And I guess that makes sense because this is kind of an infinite game of revealing things, and previous things that you wrote or thought about build on top of one another. But when I tell you this, I would hope would be the most meaningful text coming in the background, the most meaningful video that you ever watch. Sounds like a bold claim, but hear me out on this. So if you haven't seen this channel before, you don't have any concept of what I believe to be true, which would be fair if you haven't seen anything that I've made before. I'm reading a lot of Neville Goddard right now. I have people that are close to me that have experienced this to a fuller extent. They've been studying things like this for much longer than I have. That I'm but a month or two into this, and it is a very exciting and fun path of revelation. But the idea that Neville Goddard holds, which I believe to be 100% true with pretty much like no doubt in my mind, is that God is awareness, right? So if we can agree on that, this is where the premise of this journal entry comes. So God is an interchangeable name, right? You can change that to cause. You can change that, like literally anything you want. So if you even said, oh, well, like, no, I don't believe in any of that. I believe in science. I believe the Big Bang created everything. Well, change God's name to Big Bang. Like Big Bang is cause of everything, is it not? If you want to say dreamer, if you want to say father, if you want to say Allah, whatever word you use, these are all what you have to realize interchangeable for the same thing, which is cause. Something caused this. We are in effect, something caused it. So what I just wrote down is when I first went into these teachings, I guess, I got so locked on this dream analogy, and I was like, you know what, like, this is probably why dreams are here. It's probably like this kind of like, not like an Easter egg, but like in a sense, right? Like dreams are here to reveal things to you. So I was so locked on the dream thing, and I look back on myself, but like, 1 or 2 months ago, and I'm like, okay, the dream thing, it's a nice thing to think about, but it's too trippy, right? It's like Inception or something. It doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't hold the value I once thought it did, but in what I'm about to say, it 100% does, because the dream analogy actually works in so many facets, and you're going to hear so I'll just get into it because I'm really hyping this up, and I genuinely do believe this is like the craziest realization that I've had. So I said, after you wake up from a dream, do you perceive it as real? Now think about this for a second. Your head is on the pillow. You fall asleep. Now, you are dreaming the entire time, or not the entire time, but still, like you're dreaming, right, for a portion of time, right? So then you wake up. So you were technically experiencing things in that dream, were you not? Like you were riding a unicycle while juggling through traffic, right? On your way to school, even though you're 50 years old, right? Something crazy, something absolutely out there, right? So you were going through things, but like, that's weird. You wake up and then you're like, oh, that just happened. So you didn't really even know it happened until the wake up period. And I think I just found out why that's the case. So let me keep going with this journal entry here. So I said, you basically discredit. So I'll start from the beginning. After you wake up from a dream, do you perceive it as real? Not really, right? You basically discredit the dream entirely. You could have robbed, you could have murdered, or you could have won $1 billion from the lottery. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're the most evil person. It doesn't matter if you had the greatest of fortunes. You wake up and you're like, oh, I didn't win the lottery. Oh, thank God I didn't actually hurt anybody, right? So you have this relief, this relief of, oh, that didn't happen. Of course, if you win the lottery, it's not really a relief. It's kind of like, I kind of wish I won that, right? But either way, you discredit it, right? You don't actually think you won the lottery when you wake up, and you don't actually think you hurt a bunch of people when you wake up, right? So you wake up and brush it off because it is, quote unquote, not real. So what does this mean? It means that to make a dream real, you must actually be in it. You must not realize upon waking, then discredit it, because that's basically implying God is doing this with you right now. Basically, what you are implying if you say that is that, well, actually, I'll keep going with the entry because I think I say that. God would wake up from my entire life experience as Matt, having not been too conscious or intentional at all, actually. Again, because there's no real degrees. It's not like, okay, you're partially aware. It's like you are aware. It's either you're lucid in a dream or you're not lucid. There is no like, oh, I'm sort of lucid, but I'm not full. Like, there's levels to awareness, yes. So maybe that can be, there's an argument there that there is kind of a, not a binary or something. There's some kind of scale to it, but I don't really see it as that right now. Maybe my opinion will change. So God would wake up from my entire life experience. You insert your name. He would wake up from your life experience, having not been aware or conscious. Then he would go grab a snack from the fridge. Doesn't really care. He just woke up, lived a 90-year life, had grandkids, family, loved it, this, boom, 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 boom. But he wakes up, and just like the dream, none of that was actually experienced, right? Because in a dream, do you really experience? So yes, you do experience, but it is only upon the waking of the creator, which is you, the creator of the dream. When you wake up, then you realize, oh, I had grandkids and a good life and this and this and this. But that's not how it's working here, right? Because we're aware. We're aware of things. It's not that God has to wake up to then realize it was a dream, because then we'd be there, right? When you go to sleep, you basically teleport to waking up and then have the memories of a dream. So if it's true that, God was doing this with us, we would already be there. We are in the teleporting phase now. It's just we're not teleporting. We're experiencing, we're revealing, we're living. So if it were true that that was the case, we would be God right now, waking up from our dream of, oh, I'm Matt and I had grandkids and I lived for 90 years and this and this and this. We would be in the process of waking up and then being like, that was a goofy dream, or that was a fun one, or that was a this. So it can't be the case. That can't be the case, because here I am in the middle of the dream, aware. I really hope you listen back to this and understand what is being said right now, because this is in real time actually blowing my mind again. Like, I'm trying to get in contact with people that will take this information, because it is genuinely blowing my mind. If you were, right, like if this dream didn't mean anything, if God didn't sing himself into this dream, you would just teleport, just like the creator. You're the creator in your world, right? You go to sleep, and then all of a sudden, boom, you wake up. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I went through this dream experience. I had this. And it's a discrediting, and it's a teleportation. But how is it so that we're not God? We're not waking up from a dream. We are, in a sense, in the dream. So I just riffed right there. That was nothing on my journal entry. That was purely based off what I said there, but I think it was important. So this is what would happen. God would wake up from my life experience as Matt, having not been conscious or aware, and then he would go grab a snack from the fridge, right? Didn't really mean anything. But you are here now. You are aware. You are hearing my voice. You are seeing what you're seeing. You're smelling what you're smelling. You're touching what you're touching. You're aware of your awareness, because I just called it out. So now you're saying, wait a minute, you're right, I am aware. And now you're becoming aware of that awareness, right? And you can become aware of being things in which you, I don't want to say are not, but you are not yet, right? For example, if you're not a millionaire, can you perceive yourself being a millionaire? Of course you can. You can imagine it. So that means, wow, okay, my awareness can then become aware of being in which it isn't yet. So it doesn't mean that when you're poor, you're stuck as poor. It means poor can perceive as rich and become rich, right? So you're aware now. You're here, intentional, revealing things, realizing things, right? So it only gets crazier from here. Which means now the meaningless dream that didn't mean anything to the dreamer now means everything, because he sunk himself into it instead of waiting to wake up. So that dream where you were juggling on a unicycle, whatever, yeah, it was funny. Like when you wake up, you're like, oh, that was whatever. But you were not aware in the dream. You were aware upon waking. So the dream didn't mean anything when you were in it. You actually were in traffic juggling on a unicycle on your way to school. But only upon waking did you realize, oh, that was just some stupid dream, right? You just blow it off because it didn't have the awareness sunk into the dream. So a dream isn't real, or a dream isn't real without awareness, right? The moment you become aware that you're juggling on a unicycle in traffic on your way to school, it becomes reality. You're okay, I'm actually here. Like, here I am in this world juggling on a unicycle on my way to school in traffic. But okay, I'm just gonna keep going because I feel like I'm getting like this is like, I hope this makes sense because this definitely makes sense to me. Actually, I'll skip this part because I actually think this was just kind of like a random, if he had not, it wouldn't be true. So the dreamer loved the dream so much that can I read my own handwriting? So that it literally came to life. The dreamer loved the dream so much that it literally came to life. Something that was fake literally came to life through faith alone. Right? So a dream, which you would wake up and say, that wasn't real, it is real because here we are, right? It's so hard to realize you're in a dream when you're in one. But if you've ever been lucid in a dream before, you understand. You get what I'm saying. There is a world where in a dream, you can realize okay, Matt's sleeping. Matt's the creator. He made this whole dream because he's sleeping. And then you become aware in the dream. Awareness is now in that dream. This is also crazy because I just watched the movie Inception lately, and that doesn't help very much because I've talked to people about, not even dreams, about how, people go on acid trips and they wake up and they say like, dude, I lived a life for 70 years. And like, I don't truly believe because there's certain things I do agree and don't agree with in terms of like, it doesn't serve you to believe these things, but I'm like, that might be one of them. Like to think that I'm in an infinite dream loop of like the dreamer is dreaming, but then he goes to sleep and then that one's in a dream. Maybe, but I don't really know. It's kind of like Inception. It's like you have to escape each reality, each layer, and I don't know how infinite that is. So again, that not to, if I haven't already sent you to an existential crisis, that would do it because there's a million layers to. I mean, Inception, it was just 3 dreams, but I mean, you can imagine if you can have 3 layers, you can have 4 and 5, and so on. So, okay, hear this out. Because when you change the name of God to awareness, everything makes sense. I feel like people have to change the name of God. Because I notice, for starters, we'll talk about like the default people of like, if I go to atheist videos, people don't care about God. Like people don't even care that something is holding them into being. For example, like they'll say things like Sky Daddy. Like I've seen this all the time. And although it is like laughable in a sense, like, haha, that's funny, you are quite literally mocking. You're mocking an interpretation. So you're not actually mocking God. You're not saying, haha, awareness, haha, I'm alive. You're mocking the concept that there is some dude who lives in the clouds that is 30,000 feet tall, who looks like a man with a long white beard that reaches his feet, who guards a gate to a really nice place with a lot of lights in it, right? So like, that's what you're laughing at. So the moment you change your, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't actually think God is a Sky Daddy. I don't think bro is, again, it's also a very questionable name, but I don't think he's a 30,000 foot tall guy with a beard. However, even in saying the name God, I do have preconceived notions that are literally in my subconscious mind about God. So although I do not believe he is this really tall man who guards the pearly gates, I do still have things I believe about him. So the moment I tell you, you can change the name of God to Big Bang, you can change it to dreamer, you can change it to cause, you can change it to awareness. All of your preconceived notions of the word God, like whether you know it or not, there might be an attachment to the word God that isn't helping you, it isn't serving you, and it turns you off. Like I've had it too. Where I've heard a debate and someone says God, I'm like, this guy, you got to be kidding me. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's that's, like there's nothing else. It's my whole, my interpretation is changing on it, that people say like, oh, all is God, or I give everything I've achieved, I give that to God. It's changing. But my point is like, there was a point in time, and there still even is, when I hear people say the word God, and you get this weird attachment of like, yeah, he's a guy in the Bible who told people to kill. Yeah. Like, these guys kill these guys. And then, this guy's going to he's going to tell him to kill his son. Like all these weird preconceived notions that you simply attach to the name God, right? And it's so ingrained because I'm like, if you're an atheist, of course you're going to believe that. I wasn't even an atheist. I was agnostic. I was just saying, hey, I don't know, right? And I still have these preconceived notions of like, okay, yeah, God's the one who said, kill that guy. Or God's the one who said, hey, you have a son? Could you just kill him for me? Like, again, like all these preconceived notions like, oh, the Bible said this, the Bible said that. When you change the name of God to awareness, things start to make sense. It's not a guy who gives commands. It's awareness. And awareness doesn't even give commands. Awareness is the thing in which the command is given. So if you're, in a sense, are you not just kind of commanding yourself? Again, I don't know if there's any like actual revelation in terms of like, can awareness itself, I mean, awareness can reveal things by making you aware of things which you were not aware of, if that makes sense. So hopefully that's not trippy, but my point is saying that, no, I don't believe that God can point his finger and say, hey, do this for me. But I do believe the way in which that would happen if God is awareness, it's not this like booming voice. It's somehow your awareness becomes aware of being something in which didn't exist a minute ago. So even to go to like that example of like, I can't remember like he killed a son, like he had to kill his son Isaac, or he had to like offer him or something like that. It wouldn't even be this like God was like, yo, kill your son. It would be like, no, like you become aware without an unreasonable doubt. Again, that's a horrible analogy because I don't like any of these stories in terms of like God saying you had to do something, because even in saying that, and I'll get back to my actual main point, even in saying that you're implying that like God said that thing, but if God is awareness, you're just aware of a voice that you heard. So I'm like, God heard the voice, you didn't hear the voice of God. Does that make sense? So it's almost actually backwards, I feel like. Like if you hear a voice in your head, in a sense, even the awareness to hear the voice is God. So like, be still and know that I am, like it's in the silence that you like not hear God, because that's, I don't even know if that's necessarily possible. It's just, it's so interesting when you begin to change the word, because again, all the preconceived notions go away. But to get back to my actual point here, because wow, that was a rant. When you change the name, it begins to make more sense. So awareness sunk itself into this dream. Think about it for a second. Why do your dreams mean nothing to you when you wake up? Can you tell me? The answer, I gave you no time to respond, is because there was no awareness. You weren't aware. And if you argue, well, no, I was, it's only when you wake up that you become aware that you were unaware in the dream. Does that make sense? So awareness, that's not a word. Awareness sunk itself into this dream. Change the name from God, right? Because again, if you have all these attachments to the name and you're saying, oh, Sky Daddy sunk himself into this dream, right? I get it. I understand where you're coming from. Switch the name. Awareness is something not a lot of people heard of. Dude, I work at a church. I don't think there are even priests who have heard this interpretation, which blows my mind, because they have devoted, or like a sister, a nun, people devote their lives to this. And that was my biggest issue with this, is I was saying I would never be, like, again, not aggressively, and this was my past self, but I would say I would never become a priest or a nun or this or this. Well, obviously I wouldn't become a nun, but still, like, I would never become that, because I would need 100% rock solid certainty. And I felt like in my bones, I was like, I would never get that. How would you know until you woke up from the dream the reality of it all, right? So it's just so weird, because like, I don't even think that like people who have devoted their life, and I'm not saying this aggressively, I'm just saying like, it's very interesting to realize that even the people who devote their lives to this haven't even heard the interpretation of a name change, of changing God to cause or awareness. Awareness is really the greatest name I think you can give to God. And it's not one people hear often. So awareness sunk itself into this dream. Think about that. I said, and clearly, because here I am aware in the dream. For to not be aware in the dream breeds the very discrediting upon waking I just mentioned prior. So think about that. For to not be aware in a dream breeds the very discrediting upon waking I just mentioned earlier. So if you woke up from this, if God woke up from this with no awareness, if awareness wasn't sunk into the dream, let's say that, when awareness wakes up, after the dream. If awareness didn't sink itself into the dream, awareness would wake up from this and be like, well, that was stupid. That was a dumb one, or that was a cool one, or whatever. It's a discrediting. And then, I gave the fun, little funny example of like awareness goes to the fridge and grabs a snack. Again, just a personification, right? Of saying like you wake up from a dream, you went on 30 bank heists across Earth, across interplanetary planets, right? Like across planets, 30 bank heists, and you wake up and you're like, all right, off to work. You know what I mean? Like that's how much you discredit a dream, is you wake up from an intergalactic bank heist and then just go like, all right, that was weird. Anyways. So that's my point, is like it's only when awareness wakes up, which is you waking up from the dream, that you realize, whoa, that was weird. But it's because of that lack of awareness in that dream where you did intergalactic bank heist. It's because of the unawareness in that dream that awareness wakes up, which is you in this outer world, and you discredit everything that happened in there. So to me, it is this game of Inception. It is this game of like, awareness is sleeping but sunk itself into the dream, and then in this dream you go to sleep, you dream. But I don't know if there's, and again, this could take me down a crazy rant, but I don't know if there's need for more than 3 layers. So I don't know if Inception had it right, but my point is like I don't think there has to be a dream and 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 a dream, because the whole point of dreaming, I believe, in our life is to just show us exactly what's happening outside. It's like a before and an after and a middle. Or I don't know if that made sense. Like I guess a beginning and an end and a middle, right? So it's, okay, awareness. I'm awareness right now, right? Because I'm aware. So when I wake up from my dream, then I realize, oh, I was in a dream. So that's the same thing that would be happening here. Awareness is going to wake up from this life and be like, oh, that was a life that I was in. But awareness actually sunk itself into the dream, because if it didn't, we'd be in that teleportation process. Okay, fall asleep, wake up. Oh, that was a weird dream, and I was unaware in it. But now I'm aware. Do you see that? I'm telling you, I'm asking you this. If you were listening to this, please listen to this over and over again. Not only because every view makes me 3 cents. I'm totally kidding. This channel is not channel's not even monetized, so that'd be really funny to like I've seen people say that in videos before. They're like, oh, just keep listening to this. And I'm like, okay, like obviously you're not probably doing it for the AdSense money, but still, a little humor thrown in here. But anyways, back to my actual writing. So for to not be aware in a dream breeds the very discrediting upon waking I mentioned prior. Why do dreams not matter to you when you wake up, right? So I might be repeating myself, but it's because I go on rants and then I reread the thing that I actually already wrote before. But again, intergalactic bank heist. Why is it that you wake up and you go, that was stupid? Or like, let's say it was a wholesome dream, right? Like you had, you were older, you had kids or something, right? Like, why is it that you wake up and you're just like, that wasn't real, on to the net? Like, you don't care, right? The answer is because you were not aware. You became aware upon waking. So it's kind of poetic, right? It's symbolic. You, when you wake up from a dream, are awareness waking up. God waking up. So your awareness waking up and realizing, oh, that weird thing happened, and I wasn't aware in that. So if there is no awareness brought to it, it isn't real until awareness wakes up. Does that make sense? So until awareness wakes up, it isn't real. So this whole life you're living would basically be nothing. It would be but a weird dream for God, for awareness. But this dream came to life because awareness sunk itself in it. So again, teleport to that, oh, awareness wakes up, God wakes up. That was a weird dream. I was Matt. I was insert your name here. And it's a total discrediting of like, it didn't mean anything. It meant nothing. Why? Because there was no awareness. Awareness didn't sink itself into the dream. When you, awareness, the person you are, wakes up, then now, oh, okay, I had a dream, because awareness just woke up. Then awareness became aware, oh, I was in a dream and I wasn't even aware. but only through the awareness of that can it even be so. All things cease to be, like when you see these quotes from like the Bible, or like all things were made by God, all things cease to be in God. Switch the name. Awareness. If you're not if I have like I'm staring at my desk, if I have a book or a note card or a pen, like if I'm not aware it's there, it's not there. Again, it's not to say that whole claim of like, okay, like I'm not aware of like France right now. Is France not there? No, but like the point is that like all things, there's also people that are aware in France, but like the point is that all things cease to be in awareness, right? Nothing could exist if you were not aware of it existing. That's why even this whole like, okay, God makes the universe. If no one is aware, I mean, I guess you could argue awareness itself is God. So if awareness is aware of the universe, but if there's no one there to observe the universe, is it there? Because it doesn't exist to anybody, right? And there's even, it's so funny because you even compare this to like actual like scientific, like some of the most groundbreaking breakthroughs of our time, which I watched a video a while back that said that atoms, or it was something like that, like particles or atoms, they don't even begin to move around as we always thought they did at their default state unless a human being, unless awareness itself observed that. Like, search this up. I'm going to rewatch the video after because, again, it's just mind-blowing. It's basically saying that, like, unless there is an awareness of an atom, it's not even doing the movements it should be doing, right? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and our world is actually reflecting these deep truths, and it's insane. Like, I'm even noticing I'm in a psychology class in college, and everything that's being talked about in that class kind of aligns with my philosophical teachings, believe it or not. So I do think there's this very beautiful link of like truth is truth regardless. You're just finding out the scientific behind the faith, right? So when I say something and you're like, oh, that's BS, and then you figure it out through science, well, it makes sense. It's the truth. So we just came to an agreement. So I said, because you were not aware in the dream, you became aware upon waking. Therefore, God, the dreamer, awareness, gives things their meaning. Again, if you ever heard, I mean, I don't think it's in the Bible, but, you know, God gives things meaning. Or like, if you've even thought that before, change it. Awareness gives things meaning. If you're not aware, they don't exist. You don't care because you're not aware, right? Like, throw it on a t-shirt because it rhymes. To wake up in the world and rejoin the awareness, regain. I can't read my writing. To wake up in the world and regain the awareness that you were but mere seconds ago with your head on a pillow in a world that lacked awareness, made it unreal and made it so that it didn't matter. So I'll say that one more time. To wake up in this world, right? You wake up from a dream. You regain awareness, clearly. And to regain the awareness that you were but mere seconds ago with your head on a pillow in a world that lacked awareness, made it unreal and made it so that it didn't matter. So awareness, God, cause, Father, consciousness, gives things their meaning. When you wake up from a dream and say, oh, that was just a dream, you may as well change that statement to, oh, it was just an unaware living. It was just an experience with a lack of awareness, which means no meaning. Because I didn't really experience that. I wasn't aware of it. Only when awareness wakes up, only when you wake up from the dream do you realize, oh, okay, now I'm aware. And I had a dream. But what God did, what awareness did, is he sunk himself into the dream. He is aware during the dream. He is lucid in the dream. He did not merely take a 20 billion year rest to then teleport to waking up and say, wow, I dreamed, 100 trillion lives. That was pretty cool. No. Actually, where did I write? I thought I wrote more. Because now I'm getting a flashback to my previous thing. Yeah, it's just right here. Beginning happens in an instant. So does ending. It kind of takes me back to this. I heard this from like a Snoopy and Charlie Brown quote. It was like, was it something about dying or living? Like, oh, it sucks that we We only live once. And Snoopy said, no, we live every day, we die once. And it's a very good point of view to have, because it's like, yeah, like, okay, you live like 20,000 days. And when you die, you just cease to be, like, it's not like you've been ceasing to be, like, even now, I'm like, oh, I haven't lived for like 15 billion years. No, you've definitely, like, you didn't even have awareness. So that's not even possible. It's not like you didn't live for 15 billion years. I mean, maybe technically speaking, right, through my body. But like, that doesn't make sense, if that makes sense. So beginning happens in an instant, as does end. But being in the middle is the whole thing. So even in a dream, it's like, okay, my head hits the pillow, beginning. I wake up, that's the end. But what was that whole middle part? Right? It was the entire dream. So beginning's an instant, end's an instant. The middle is the whole journey. So I hope this makes sense. I hope you listen to this over and over and over and over again, because I really need those AdSense dollars. I'm kidding. But seriously, listen to this over and over and over again. I am going to, because I say things that I didn't even realize. Like, I just talked for 30 minutes. I didn't know some of the things I said. I mean, I clearly journaled, but I riffed on some things. So I am challenging myself to listen back to these, because I am actually realizing things in real time as well. So listen back to this and like realize when I tell you, again, I'm not saying this arrogantly. I'm not saying like, oh, this is capital T truth, but understand that what I am saying actually does hold some truth to it. I don't even want to say that, because that feels like I'm implying like, I sort of know what I'm talking about. And again, I'm not saying this arrogantly. I'm saying this out of like, just re-listen, right? I don't want to give that push of like, just that this is important. That if someone has to direct and be like, hey, do this is important. Of course, I'm saying it about my own thing, but I'm telling myself this too. I'm telling myself, hey, listen back to your own videos, read your own journal entries, because it's so funny that someone can take a pen to paper and write a bunch of truth or say a bunch of truth on a video and then just forget it happened, because that's really what does happen. Like, I don't walk around thinking about these truths all the time, like majority of the time I do, but there are times I forget. So it's like you need this constant reminder, like, hey, like this is real. Like, you just heard this yesterday and now you're brushing it off like you didn't just hear it, because you're going back to your default, right? It's not like you're normally always thinking about God or awareness or whatever. Maybe you are, because I've started to, but it's not always like that. So let me be the person to not only give you the message itself, but to also remind myself the importance of what I am saying. In terms of like, when you realize this, it's just trippy. And like, I guess the point is it's never out of arrogance, because you want other people to feel what you feel. So when I'm in this, like, you can clearly tell I'm like happy, I'm hyped up, I'm excited. That's what I want to share. That's why I'm telling you to re-listen, because the truth will set you free. It's said in the Bible. We hear it a lot. The truth will set you free. And I don't know any deeper truth than this reality, which you take so seriously, is very serious. And, well, it's not very serious, it's very real. But it's also that just because it's real doesn't mean it's not a dream. And just because it's a dream doesn't mean it's not real, right? It's not to discredit everything and be like, oh, well, now nothing matters. But it's not to do the opposite either. It's to realize that it is both very, very real and very much a dream. And both of those truths are the things that I believe will set you free. Is you realize, wow, like this is 100% something I'm genuinely experiencing. Yet it's also entirely fun, and it's something I can play around with, and it's something that I'm dreaming. So absolutely crazy. So much journaling today, but that was the holy grail of my findings for today. So hopefully this helped out. Again, please listen back to this. This is by far the craziest. I'm telling you, like I've started publishing videos recently, so I haven't put up journal entries. I'm in the process of making a Medium so I can like blog things. But like when I tell you, like out of I haven't published journal entries. I haven't published many videos, like all this stuff. Point being, this, out of everything I've ever written, everything I've ever, or I don't want to say will write, because there's probably more deeper truths to come in the future, but this is the most profound. Like when I tell you, like, don't even bother, again, like I'll publish old journal entries and stuff, but like it pales in comparison to like everything stacks on top of one another. So it makes sense that this realization now is like mind-blowing compared to what I was thinking about a month or two ago. And I hope that 2 months from now, it's even more mind-blowing, whatever it is that I realize. So again, listen back to this crazy stuff. And I'm going to digest this for myself, because it was just kind of revealed, in a sense. I like that word because it was always there. It had to be there. Creation is finished, but it was revealed. So thank you for listening, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.